let's start now, we're gonna get right to it, and do item number 2. Public comments are an opportunity for the community to address the board. Although there is no dialogue, all study sessions, special meetings, and business meetings of the school board are conducted in public, and always offer an opportunity for the public to come to the board. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes each. Moving right on, number 2 on our agendas are dedicated time for the board to receive public comments. We will start with personal agendas. Whenever you're ready.
When I vote for individuals that align with my beliefs and goals, and that I feel will be my voice at the table even when I'm not in the room. I look for candidates that will serve with integrity and humility. While looking for tonight's agenda, I found myself in the district's policies. Policy 0123, Philosophy of the Board. Members of the board are chosen by the citizens to represent them. The board has a dual responsibility for implementing statutory requirements pertaining to public education and for meeting the desires of the residents. The board declares and thereby reaffirms its intent to A, maintain two-way communication with the citizens of the district. The board shall keep them informed of progress and problems of the school district, and the citizens shall be urged to bring their aspirations and concerns about the district to the attention of the body. Act as truly representative body for citizens in all matters related to programs and operations. Policy 0124, Board of Education norms. Our work is a dynamic process. Therefore, there is always room for review and positive change. Seeking clarification or relevant additional information with the goal to have a fully informed discussion at public meetings. While reviewing these policy statements, I became increasingly disheartened. Our concerns are not new. You do not reflect my voice nor my community's. You haven't for years. We've asked you to seek clarification and request additional information so that you can make an informed decision. It's rarely provided. We've asked you to be transparent. We see you changing agendas and adding documents to board docs to past meetings. We see the yay voters remaining quiet and refusing to engage in public discussions. But that's what for the good of the order is, right? We have sought your partnership. We have asked you to pause, review, and consider a $1.7 million offer to purchase Roosevelt, an offer that would provide a positive change for the district, money that would go to staffing and educational programming. But instead, we get fear-mongering statements and lies. Before every meeting, I think, what can I say to get them to listen? Tonight, I ask you to reaffirm your oath to serve. Serve with integrity, serve with humility, and act as a truly representative body for citizens in all matters related to programs and operations.
In closed session, I'm sure the district's lawyer will tell you how to correct the violation of the Open Meetings Act, where the board rubber-stamped an administrative decision, something they have been doing since 1992 when I first started attending school board meetings. But perhaps a better use of that time would be to consider a generous offer by a recognized architectural firm to repurpose Roosevelt, or better yet, open it to other competitive bids. Not since Ginger Rogers have I seen anyone tap dance backwards so quickly as the representative from Arch defending why the remediation bid was less than a quarter of what he himself guesstimated it to be. If Mr. Stottlemyre has so thoroughly reviewed the specs of the bids to ensure there will be no cost overruns, I would suggest that he offer to cover any additional overages out of his salary. And so that we can all be assured that the job has been done adequately, I would ask that Dr. Bozzi and her son stand on the property as the building comes down. If it's safe enough for the residents of Key Eagle Harbor, she should have no qualms about exposing her own children. I don't expect either. What I do expect is that we will have cost overruns added the demolition fees, broker's fees, etc., that will result in no profit for the district, instead of an assured $1.7 million in the preservation of an historic landmark. It's time to make a call to whomever the vacant lot was promised to and tell them the deal is off. Julie, I'm speaking to you as well. The district would then focus on educating our children. Residents filled Orchard Lake City Hall this past week to voice concerns about property values because of a proposed marijuana dispensary. So imagine their worry about their same property values when they opened Friday's Wall Street Journal and saw an article on Roosevelt. Quote, they want the building leveled. If only the school fought so hard for students. In West Bloomfield, only 51% of the elementary school students are proficient or better in reading and only 40% in math, unquote. We've been lucky to ride the coattails of a once deserved reputation, but that reality has changed. You were elected to represent your constituents, listen to their concerns, be fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' money, and educate our children. Our students, their parents, and all our taxpayers deserve better. It's time to stop all the negative publicity, take the generous $1.7 million offer, and move on.
Amber?
So this is a little delayed because I didn't say it at the March meeting because I didn't figure there was no time. Because we were going till 11 o'clock at night. So anyways, we're here today. All right. I would like to ask why the elementary student parents were seemingly not notified of the student survey all Westland School District students took last month at school. The survey asked questions about how the students feel about their staff and their school, how they handle their emotions, how they feel their teachers support them, if they feel safe, and how they feel about the lessons they were taught, etc. Out of the 4 school s'mores that I read weekly, 3 elementary and 1 middle school, only the middle school mentioned it. The district newsletter didn't mention it either, and that goes for the whole month. Elementary parents weren't even told about the survey, so they could not opt out if they wanted, unlike the middle schoolers. I would appreciate it if you choose to do these types of surveys. Please let us know. I would have liked to ask my children these questions and see how they answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleen?
There's a lot happening right now, right? And everybody is a little tense and on edge because we've got a lot, the stakes are very high for everyone at this table and everyone else in the room. And I think I just want to talk about 2 things today. One is that 2 weeks ago in the meeting, the board meeting, I was so disheartened. Like, I understand some of why, but the reaction to a $1.7 million offer, the immediate was assuming the worst and picking at, was it valid, with the LLC being established that same day. And I just, please think the best. I really try to think the best of every one of you. Like Kirsten said earlier, we think about like, what would it take to change your mind? Because I know that you feel that this is important to you and that building has to come down for whatever reason, but we also feel we know there are ways to preserve it and to keep it in place. And we're trying to think the best of you, and I would like it if you thought the best of us too. Every action, even if it doesn't feel that way, is coming from a place of, we're talking about an issue, and it's not a joke. Like, I just was really disappointed that was the response when we brought a great opportunity to the district to make even more money than what you project that you could make and restore some of the financial things that have happened in the past. And I'm frustrated that it went that way. So, and if you think you can find a better or a different offer or something that's to whatever standard that you're judging, go find it, please, because that would take a lot of time and effort off of us, and we could all get somewhere great. And then the other thing I'll just say quickly is that, you know, in September when the initial vote happened, there were 2 board members that hesitated, and you waited. When you supported strategic vision, you held off, or at least hesitated in your vote, specifically because of the demolition of Roosevelt. And it was disappointing that those same 2 board members pushed your approval through, knowing it would come back in March, there was no discussion, there's no explanation, there's no additional insight from either one of you, and that also made me really sad. Just, I think as we prioritize transparency, I think that was at least owed to the people that have taken so much time to come participate in this process. And then the last thing I'll say is I'm not as much into all the stuff going on with the parents in the school, but please start listening to them too. Like the thing with them getting access to contact information and it's like consistently seems like they are not getting the same voice, and it's not great. So please, whatever you can do to support them, take that a little more seriously too, please.
Paul Delman.
Paul Delman, 28-year resident of Eagle Harbor. I'm here tonight as a taxpayer, someone who is concerned about certain words and their definition. The word roof was used, quote, since a roof collapsed in an unused room at Roosevelt last year in a September 28, 2023 article from the Beacon. The same word roof was used during the court proceedings on Wednesday when Mr. Mullins for the school board made his case. I've been in the construction business for over 35 years and know the difference between a ceiling and a roof. You don't call a roofer to fix a ceiling, and you don't call a drywaller to fix a roof. The roof was never compromised, and fixing the ceiling was deemed a minor repair. Had the money for the millage been used to prevent this problem, we'll never know. I do know that repairing this creates a safety hazard, a stunt you used in court to draw sympathy for the safety hazard you created. Once again, you are your own worst nightmare. You are responsible for not just education, but the safety for the buildings and the people, and all the people in them. That's what the tax money is for. Who requests a millage from the community and then due to the lack of urgency, then sits on the money? Here's your next nightmare. You have turned an entire city to question every future millage. I certainly have no reason to support this education board. You're losing students by the numbers. Give Roosevelt back to the community. Turn it into a senior center, an adult education center to provide training for area residents. Rebuild the playground for the kids and the adults. Give back like Farmington Hills did with the Hawk. Show the same spirit the land Roosevelt and the old soccer field on Summers that you already sold or set aside for its community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. David Allen.
Just by happenstance, I had the pleasure of going to the Ivy this weekend. The Ivy is a repurposed high school that's in Berkeley. And it was repurposed into apartments. And these apartments sold out pretty much immediately, if not sold out, it's pretty close to sold out. And I got a tour, my son was very proud of touring me around it. Has a workout facility, each classroom kept the walls and basically made each classroom into an apartment unit, which has either, I think there was up to 3 bedroom, but this was a 1 bedroom, kitchen, bath, it even had a washer and dryer in it. And it's just beautiful, and it's right downtown Berkeley, walkable to all the restaurants. We actually went to a restaurant right from there, two doors down, which is the same as Roosevelt. Roosevelt is right at the heart of our town. Converting it into apartments would be on your tax roll probably in 2 to 3 years. The $1.7 million offer that we keep talking about is on the table, and it's not just a letter of intent, which you guys discounted. But it's actual agreement now. It's a purchase agreement that the board got, I believe last Wednesday. And it's wonderful for all of us. And yet, it gets a generic return to sender saying, we're not selling the building, we'll keep you posted. The same one that we keep getting over and over and over again. But yet, zero discussion by any of you guys to even talk about it. It was brought up a couple times by a couple board members of why aren't we talking about it, but it's still not talked about. So I think you owe it to our community to actually talk about these offers and tell us exactly what's going on, because like, again, we're back to your morals and your guiding light. It's transparency. We deserve it. We're a community that deserves it. And people that don't even live in our community, and I don't even know how many times you guys actually come to Kego Harbor, but we deserve to have your working together. How many meetings has this school board had with city council or our community? 0. The one meeting was with Dr. Bazzi, and no school board members attended that. And I'm begging you guys to please work with us. We want to work together. That's what we want to do. Thank you.
Susan.
Show and tell time.
All right, what I want to say is, I know that you have said that you allow us community time to speak, and I feel that, yes, we have had time to speak, but I feel that we put so much effort into our speeches too, and so much heart. What I feel like is we don't feel listened to. We don't feel that you take action, you just ignore us. So give us time to speak, but you're not really listening. So I'm trying something different tonight. I'm gonna read you a story. Since you're a school board, I'm gonna read you all a story. The Roosevelt engine that could. Once upon a time in Kego land, there was a very beautiful old engine. It worked hard over the years, and it brought so much joy to people near and far. One day a wheel fell off, and the Roosevelt engine was stuck on the track, and it needed repair. It tried to budge off the tracks. I think I can, but it couldn't budge. The owner of the Roosevelt engine, BOE, had many complex problems, one being financial, and this was one more. BOE decided the easiest thing to do was hire a company to blow up the engine and clear the tracks. They could use taxpayer money to get it done. When the Kegos found out about the plan, they were devastated. As people who believed in sustainability, they wanted to see Roosevelt engine repurposed. Their own tax dollars would be used to blow up their beloved engine to bits. And then they found out the dynamite company had MIOSHA violations, and they knew the low bid quoted would need to be way higher for a safer demolition. So now they were worried about their health too. So the Kegos rallied, and they found out people from far and wide cared about Kego and the beautiful Roosevelt engine. But their facts and pleas fell on deaf ears. How could they find a solution that would help BOE and change their mind? They all put their heads together calling for help, and lo and behold, a superhero architect, JOE, and a few other investors swooped in with a $1.7 million offer to buy the engine from BOE. JOE had a plan to get the engine off the tracks and repurpose it, solving all of BOE's problems. The dynamite company was called off, and working together, BOE, JOE, the Kegos, and many other caring community members, they worked together, huffing and puffing, and they pushed the engine over the hill and down the other side and off the tracks into a whole new green, sustainable future. Everyone was shouting, "I thought we could work together. I thought we could work together." And everyone did live happily ever after. Thank you. I'll just leave this here for now.
Cute, thank you. Liz,
That's it. Is that it? Did you want to talk? Did you want to? Okay, you're good. Okay.
okay, on our agenda is our GRETCHKO and SCOTCH playground site work approvals. Mr. James Starmeyer. Assistant Superintendent Facilities and Operations. That's the board. There's quite a few agenda items here.
Good evening. All right. I'm up for most of the night, so I can take over the controls here. So, as we had talked about before, we had three components to our GRETCHKO and SCOTCH playgrounds. We had the equipment, which we'll talk about later. We had the installation and the poured-in-place rubber surfaces. This is the last component, which is the site work. So that's all the clearing and grubbing of the land, the demolition of the old play equipment, installation of the stone base, all the sidewalks, everything needed to support the playground operation. Just as a reminder, our main point for the playgrounds was to make them inclusive for all students. So we really focused on our sensory play areas, on ADA compliance and age appropriateness of all the different areas. We did have, as a reminder, the GRETCHKO, SCOTCH, and Roosevelt students participate in surveys, so they helped select some of the pieces that you'll see in the new playgrounds. Both playgrounds do have a music garden, which we're very proud of. Both playgrounds have an Apple Island area, which is a grassy mound with slides and play structures on it to mimic our own Apple Island. They will be both installed this summer, and the equipment is age appropriate. It was designed with some experts, so it's all the equipment's designed for ages 5 to 12, with many of the pieces rated 2 to 12. And then, as we discussed, it'll be funded from the 2023 bond. So just a quick overview. When we talk about safety, we wanted to be able to have one person be able to see all areas of the playground. So we moved all the play areas to the west side of GRETCHKO. And the same thing at SCOTCH. Someone could stand on the Apple Island and see all the different play areas. So we wanted to enhance safety. Right now our playgrounds are kind of scattered around, so we want to consolidate that. We also have fencing around all the sensory areas to keep those children safe. So we approved the playground equipment at the December 8th meeting, or 18th meeting, sorry. The surfacing was approved by the board at the February 12th meeting. We put out a bid package and we held a public bid opening on March 14th, and we received 3 bids. So Fessler & Bowman was the low bid at $1.391 million. And that includes alternate 1 at SCOTCH and alternate 2 at GRETCHKO, which I'll explain in a minute. In my 30 years of construction, though, I have worked with Fessler & Bowman many times, and they're a very good company. So when we look at the overall cost of this, originally we had targeted $2.5 million per playground. And as you can see, with all of the costs and now our site package, we're sitting at about $4.953 million, so we're just under our targeted budget. Alternate number 2 at GRETCHKO is to clear, grub, pull out all the mulch and put in grass on our topsoil and grass on the east playground, that triangle that you see in red. We're going to turn that into a future outdoor classroom, so this is the prep work to get to that point. And you can see this is that playground over there on the east side of the building. The truck, the wood on the truck is all splintered, and I don't know, this piece is missing. I don't know what's going on with that. There's 3 posts. So obviously the play equipment over there is seeing its better days. Alternate number 1 at the SCOTCH playground was this area up in the very northwest corner of the site. And when we talked to the building administration and the teachers, they were very concerned with that playground because it's so far removed from the building, and you have that stand of trees that blocks the view from the building. So for safety purposes, they were concerned. In addition, I mean, a lot of the pieces out there are very old, and the plastic borders are popping up and stuff, so it does need to be removed. So that's it. We're asking for approval of the bids to Fessler & Bowman.
So this was, we did meet as a finance committee
Yes.
to review the bids and have those discussions, because the timing of it allows to discuss it at the, or April at the March study session. So we did convene, our Carol and Julie, I'm sorry, all 3 of us, met with Jamie along them to review the bids and be able to come at this meeting for the approval so that we can ensure the work is secured for the summer. Motion?
I was gonna ask you a question, but no.
Motion, please.
Yeah, I can do that. Let me get there here. I move to award a contract to Fessler & Bowman as outlined in Ops letter of recommendation dated March 20th, 2024 per enclosure 3.
Motion to award a contract to Custer Enrollment is outlined in Ox letter of recommendation dated March 20th, 2024 for closure 3 has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
So I just need you to indulge me for a minute. I looked at hundreds of pages of bids over the weekend and my brain hurts. You're doing 6-inch sidewalks. This is not
Correct.
the one that
Yeah,
they offered.
we did not accept the alternate to go to 4-inch.
Okay.
We like to keep it 6-inch, so when we plow them, we can just run the trucks across. them.
Exactly, I was worried that was, because we didn't talk about that in
Right.
finance, and then I saw it in the bid, and I was like, wait a minute, I
Yeah,
wanna make sure
They
you're
had
not.
proposed that as a voluntary alternate, but we did not accept that. So
Okay.
the bid is the
All
full
6-inch.
6-inch depth, and we also made the sidewalks wide enough to fit the plow trucks by.
That's what I just wanted to double check that, because like I said, I looked at a lot.
Isn't that funny? That's the only one I called. That's what she is.
Yeah, but you don't want 4-inch
No,
sidewalks.
I just was like, did we do that? Cause it wasn't clear, but go ahead.
Just to make sure I'm clear, we had estimated 5 million, and that includes the equipment, the site work,
Yes,
everything.
that's everything. I'll go back to that slide.
Just bring your
I
own
got it right
kids.
here.
Yep, okay.
For both.
And when you said there's 3 things out of the 4, I didn't quite understand what you were talking about.
Would we need 3 things on the floor?
You said there's 3 posts and there's this.
Oh, no, I was just joking that over at the current GRETCHKO playground, there's a play piece that just is 3 posts sticking out the ground. So I was just wondering what,
Oh, it's like a water stand table.
Oh, I was looking at the truck thing, where there's 4
Yeah.
things there.
yeah.
kept the posts.
So it's great that it's under budget. It's only under budget by 46,000. So just wanted to confirm whether or not there are contingencies included in the actual bid.
Not in the bid, so we have a 10% bond contingency.
10% bond contingency?
Correct. On all the projects, we have a 10% contingency.
All right, and is that included in the 4.9?
No,
There is a 10%
potential.
set aside, I'll say, from the bond that can be used for contingencies
Correct.
for projects like
Mhm.
this.
So when we talk about $2.5 million, that's what we give our architect design to. We wanna try and, keep it at that number below as best as possible. So when we talk about a $2.5 million budget, that's what we're talking about for design purposes.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Deborah?
You know what, I do realize this is a little late at the wheel, so I will first bring that up to admit that. But as I was going through and just looking at the design, I know that we've gone into Apple Island.
Mhm.
So I know it's a little late at the wheel. But again, when we look at the design as at Apple or whatever, is there any way or that we can mention the Indians? Because again, that Apple Island really wasn't a land for Native Americans. So from an inclusive perspective, if there's just a little plaque that kids can read and say, hey, you know what, this was, kind of like a land that was inhabited by the Native Americans, because it's not just an apple, it really means something to,
That was the
broader community.
plan. We were talking with the curriculum department about that, about including some signage and even some pamphlets that the kids could have or coloring books or things that tie into the Apple Island experience. But yes, we have been discussing the signage.
okay, good, because and again, just to pay homage to what the island truly was in its day, if you will. So, any way we can do that and be inclusive as to the people who own the land before we even got it, that would be great.
No, I appreciate that. And our motto is learning is everywhere, so we do want, that opportunity to learn even on the playground.
Yeah, for sure, thank you.
Any more? And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Agenda item number 4 is our Scotch magnet approval, and then Mr. James Delmeyer wants to address the board.
Similar to the playground bids, we did review this at the last finance committee on the 21st, but as part of the strategic visioning, we decided to move the SCOTCH, or the program from Roosevelt over to SCOTCH. It's gonna be funded from the 2023 bond. The area that I'm gonna show you in the diagrams is 300 square feet more than they currently have over at Roosevelt, so it is a bigger space. We did design it with input from, we've had several meetings with the magnet staff and also the building leadership to talk about where this program would be best suited over at SCOTCH and how the rooms will come together to best support that program. By approving this tonight, we do have a commitment to have it done by August 16th. The bids, there's several bid categories, as you see in your packet there, total $245,315. We did originally have it estimated around 400, so it did come in a bit cheaper than was expected. Now I'm gonna stand up just for a second here. I had to flip around the map, and I apologize, but this is the way our architectural drawings are. They're always north is up. So if you come in the main office here, go right past the main office, it's the 4 classrooms that you see right here that will encompass the new SCOTCH magnet program. So it's 37, 28, and these 2 learning centers. Well, I must have stand back up. Show and tell. I know not everybody's skilled at reading blueprints, but essentially you have your 4 rooms here, and they have an open concept now. So we are opening up the walls to connect all 4 of those classrooms. It is nice because they do have toilets inside those 2 classrooms, which they don't have now, and they're pretty excited about that. And then if we look at the reflected ceiling plan here, those openings that we're creating are going all the way up to the deck. So the ceiling will actually pass through underneath those openings, so it'll look like one continuous room. And we've kind of modeled it after some of our more modern eye centers. So you'll see the linear LED lighting, and we want it to be more of an upscale, modern look to it. So that's the recommendation to approve bids.
Motion? Sure. Sleeping at the wheel tonight.
I move to award the contracts as outlined in Ox letter of recommendation dated March 2024 for enclosure 4.
Do we have a second? Ashley. Okay. A motion to award the contract is outlined in Ox letter of recommendation dated March 2024 for enclosure 4 has been moved and seconded. Questions or comments?
We did go through this one also in finance,
Yeah.
so.
There's a lot of trades in this one.
Yeah.
There's such a small space, I mean, it's not small, but it's a small space there. But anyway, great work on that, by the way. Interesting, so,
I'm too excited.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Agenda item number 5 is our consent agenda approval. Do we have a motion? Come on, you guys.
I'll do it.
Ashley.
I know,
Gave her gave a space.
Okay. I move to approve the following consent agenda items for enclosure 5.
Do we have a second? Nick. Spread it around. So motion to approve the following consent agenda items for enclosure 5 has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, this is what I'm looking forward to. Agenda item number 6 is our Westmanville High School Transition Center and Kitchen Project Review.
Okay.
Mr. James.
We held a public bid opening today at 1 o'clock. It actually took us about an hour to get through all the bids, but we had 17 different bid categories. And this is for the cosmetic work at the high school kitchen, the transition center area, and also I'm going to talk about the special ed area at the top of the map here. So you know the kitchen, the bids came in. Now keep in mind this is hot off the press, so you have our bid opening from today. You know, and we need time to go through it and vet out all the contractors and stuff. But right now, the kitchen work came in at $240,919. That is going to be funded from the excess fund balance. So we applied to the state of Michigan, and they will hopefully cover the cost of that whole program. So this is the cosmetic work to get ready. We're actually breaking it up into 2 phases. First step is we're gonna redo the ceilings. We're putting skylights in there. We're making a lot nicer new lighting. We're knocking out one of the walls between one of the prep areas and the main kitchen to make it flow better. So we worked with our food service department to come up with that layout. The next phase is gonna be all the equipment.
Just explain the excess fund balance. That's in our food service.
Yeah, that's in our
Separate
food
fund,
service, yes.
everybody. So I just want everybody to understand.
So currently, the state shows us it having around $2 million in our excess fund balance. And every year we chip away at that. So like last year we had $1 million. We spent like $350,000. Remember we bought the van off of that. We bought a lot of equipment off of that. So this will also be included in that excess fund balance. Originally we had talked about the transitions. Our target was 1.5 million. If you look at the low bid combinations, it came in at 1,553,913. So TMP did a pretty good job of keeping it on budget for that program. But just looking at the high school here, if everybody knows, this is in the very east corner. This is door 14. So the bus loops around here to let off our special needs students, just to give you a bearing on where we're at in the building. We broke this up into two parts. So when we started to look at the transition program here, we went into like the high school special ed kitchen, and it needs a lot of TLC, that area. And then when we met with the high school special needs staff, they're like, well, we really need 2 bathrooms, we only have 1. We really need a laundry room, for teaching them life skills, but we also have a lot of soiled clothes and stuff, so we need a laundry room. So what we did is, we weren't sure where the funding source was coming from, so we broke it up into 2 projects. So if you remember transitions, TMP did a whole presentation on that, where we have our new entrance, we're branding that area, we're making it special when they walk in. So we have our new Dream Crafts area right here that opens up, there's a large glass wall that opens up into our instructional kitchen, like Sir La table. Kind of designed after Sir La table a little
Sir
bit.
La kitchen or Sir La table? Now
Did I get it right? Yeah. And then we're adding 2 new restrooms in there with showers, and then we have a life skills apartment. So we have a kitchen, laundry room, living room, and a bedroom down in this area. So right now, these are currently some science classrooms that are being relocated. And then in addition, you have a transitions classroom here, the transition sensory classroom here that connects to a new PACE lab. And then on the other side of that is the high school sensory room. And then you have an existing high school classroom. So what we did was we broke up all of the work in this high school special ed area as the alternate, including cutting across the hallway and trenching over some new utilities to some sinks that was requested in the new PACE lab. So that was all part of that alternate. So that alternate for the high school portion of it came out to $313,141. So the $1.5 million transitions is out of the 2023 bond. We would like to come back to you and ask that we could do this on a sinking fund, because we think the high school special ed program needs a refresh. As long as all the contractors are working there, it's a good time to do it. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is we have a sensory trail that we're going to be building into the flooring, so the students can walk around through here. We also have tactile wall surfacing that we're putting. We actually met with autism specialists to consult with our architect to be able to really try and hone in on what those students need and how best to make this space special. So we feel like we've incorporated everything into it. It's going to be wonderful for them. The only other thing I wanted to mention is the plan right now is in 2 phases. So everything that's in the high school proper would be done by the end of summer. This portion here would be done at winter break. So that's the game plan.
for second semester.
Pardon?
Like for second semester.
For second semester. And then we would work with the transition staff on phasing the students into that. So like they had said, maybe they'll start bringing them over there to get them acclimated with the space and not just throw them in and say, here you go, to get them comfortable with that. But that's where our bids came in today.
Can I just ask a question about the PACE lab?
Mhm.
Because we just did a visit there, and so it's making me think. For anyone that doesn't know, the PACE lab is a skill lab where kids work through different job skills by category. And it seemed like they probably could add more like tools.
Mhm.
Are we have we looked at expanding like our tools and
Yeah, well, we have-
electric tools or anything?
Yeah, they were looking at cord reels and we put
They
the
are,
sinks
okay.
in, we addressed all of that in this
Okay,
plan.
just wanted to
The other thing I forgot to mention is one of the nice things that we've added here is the Dreamcraft room. That's where they make their candles and soap and everything. We've actually included a drive-up window so that they can transact with the public, and they have a display case there so they can display their wares. So when someone walks up that transaction window, they can actually see what they've made and order it through that window, and they get that experience of the sales and marketing.
Done?
I just have a quick question.
Mhm.
So when we talk about the showers, what would the showers be used for? This is for my education, because I don't know.
Sometimes students have accidents and stuff, and they need to clean them up with dignity.
students with severe disabilities,
Mhm.
some are immobile, some you have to put on a, you know.
Yeah, we have
changing
adult
table,
changing
things like
tables
that.
in there.
It just varies on the student. You could have one who has those needs, or you could have, you know, 4, it just depends.
The thing that was nice too is we met with the transition staff week after week after week, and we really honed in on this design, so we're really confident that this is gonna be great for the kids.
And because the construction is in that area, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Because the construction is in that area and the bids came in really nice for the high school, we really feel that, again, we're sorry, we just got the bids today, so I couldn't send this in an update or anything, but doing the work all at once based on the cost, I was very happy that the bids came in at 1.5. I thought based on the design's ambition of the group, I thought it would come in a little bit more, so seeing that came in, we really feel that doing it all together would be best. It would provide an economy of scale than separating them out.
So a couple things. I'm glad that we're doing the special ed, the high school special ed kitchen. That is a disaster back there. I mean, we walked in and it's a disaster. And it really, these kids really, if they're gonna learn life skills, they've gotta have the ability to move around. And so I'm glad we're getting that done. I'm glad that you're bringing the utilities over for the PAVE lab. I'm very excited about what the transition, our young adults are gonna have. I think this is fabulous. I love the new entrance because, as you know, one of my big things is these kids don't use the back door, ever. I have my wish list to also add a garage back there at some point, so I just wanna put that out there because of the adult tricycles that they'd like to have.
We actually have a new shed,
Okay.
at the warehouse that we're gonna move over there for now. That'll give them immediate storage. It's brand new, we bought it for the life preservers,
Yes, and the city said,
the
please
city
get
said
that out
no,
of
so,
there.
yeah, so we have that ready to go. The other thing is we're applying for, a big green garden grant to put in at the back of the school there, we're gonna be applying for that in May.
Oh, good, so
hopefully
that's
we'll get
good.
that so they can,
The question I have is about the financing, because a while ago when we talked about this, we were gonna use the, some remaining 2017 bond funds for this.
So where's this goes?
And so I'm kind of curious, now you're saying it's the
Yeah,
current
we-
bond, and then you wanna do the
sinking
kitchen
fund for
out of
that,
the
right.
sinking fund. So I'm just kind of curious if you can bring me up to date, I'm missing something here.
Yeah, no, so in the next month, actually, we've been talking with our bond team. We're gonna go through and give you a comprehensive list of all the future projects, where they're being funded from, and, cause we've already, we squared away the 17 bond. I have a huge binder of all the costs, all the reports, down to the penny. So we'll do that for all the bond, the sinking fund, and the 2017 bond. We just had to get these projects up and going, and then now we're gonna take a breather, step back, and we'll get all that financing laid out for you in all the reports.
So there is still money in 2017 that
Correct.
can be reallocated
Correct.
someplace else. That was my worry.
Yes, we have about $8 million.
Okay.
2017.
Okay, that was what I was like not clicking here. And I guess that would bother me then to use the sinking fund to do that. If there's that, you know, the bond money is there without, that bothers me to make that commitment right now, just
Right.
so you know.
Okay.
But I know you need 5 minutes to like figure all this out too, so.
I think they gotta set up a program,
Pardon?
so it makes sense.
Yeah. So
You have
we-
to see how they're programming it out.
When we talked about the hardware bids that we brought to you last month, we have 1.7 million in the sinking fund, and that was 840,000 something.
I just worry that the sinking fund can only be used for certain things and the bond can be used for certain things.
Right.
And this has bond written all over it. So obviously that's my concern, is that we're really using those funds where we need to.
What are you thinking doesn't, I'm just curious.
Well, I'm just thinking, here's the thing, is, you know, roof repairs and that kind of stuff we still have, you know, and
That's it.
boilers and all
You're
kinds of stuff.
thinking
I'm worried about
other-
the sinking
Got
fund.
it.
Correct.
It's not that this doesn't fit into it, you're thinking
No, I'm
there's
saying-
other items that
Like the
we
sinking
need.
fund.
We
Yeah.
need to
Right,
preserve the
the sinking
sinking fund because that's a small pot that you get every
Yeah,
year
yeah.
We
and.
do allocate, like we do open work orders at the beginning of the year using sinking fund for each
Right.
AC repairs and stuff. And then we also will be getting another approximately $2 million July 1st for into the sinking fund.
Right, but, you know, again, part of this is we're playing catch up on the finance piece of it, and I get it, that we, you know, we've kind of lost that, so, but that was just my concern, is I would really much rather see as much bond for the construction as possible.
Okay.
before we approve, then can we see a schedule of what that's gonna look like as we project out for the sinking fund and the bond and where the monies are coming from? Because it gives us a better opportunity to look and say, okay, we can kind of look at our finances and move forward from there. So looking forward to seeing that, before we make some approvals.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get you like a draft, but
Yeah.
by the 15th, by when this stuff is due the 10th, I don't know that we'll get that exactly, because we still have,
CTE.
there's CTE space that has to be worked out, there's certain projects, but, the bond, whether it's 2023 or 2017, it's all these projects. I mean, it's almost, I don't wanna say it's one pot, but it's, like you said, it's money that you can expend one project on this. But we can give you, yes, an outline that gives you a better idea than what it is today, for sure. It's just, by the summertime, our goal is to have it like line by line. Like, this project that we're projecting to do, we have this much money allocated. And then have that spelled out for sinking fund, for 2023 bond, and 2017 remaining bond funds. So, I don't wanna overpromise and underdeliver, I wanna be honest.
Well, plus like Chico, we're doing the schematic design estimate right now, which is a huge number, so we gotta make sure that that's in line with our budgets, and then you have a moving target, plus you have bids coming in, and you can estimate where they're gonna be, but you never know until you get them, so we can do something that's, you know, at least a draft outline and everything.
Yeah, because whether it's 2017 or the 2023, that
That
is less of an issue.
Right.
If it's bond money, it's keeping the bond separate from the sinking fund
Yeah.
because of the restrictions
What
on
did you
it.
say was the cost of, up by the ASD area?
I'm sorry, you were talking about the sinking fund part, or?
Yeah,
Oh, sinking
yeah,
fund,
the
okay.
313, is that what you said?
Yeah, that came in at 313,000, that's for this whole alternate here.
Okay.
And in addition, like, you know, this area, they're keeping the ceilings, but they're putting in new lighting systems, so we're gonna do color, temperature adjustable, and dimmable lights in all special needs areas.
Okay.
So those rooms would get that
That's
treatment,
important.
they would get, in addition, they would have a new laundry room that would be built in the storage area here, they get a new bathroom, and they also get a quiet room, that we would be building as part of that alternate.
Oh, good, because they were losing their blue room that was
Correct.
over on the other side when we moved their sensory room. They lost that, so that's good, I'm glad they're.
And then the staff really like this because it has a door access from the hallway, but also from that classroom, so they get at it from both ways with the students.
Yep, that's a good thing.
Okay, so are you bringing this to the next board meeting?
Yes.
Okay. We done? Thank you for that. Yeah.
Bring it for approval for the next board meeting?
Yeah.
Before we see the financials? Because again,
Well, they're gonna put out enough of the financials for you to be comfortable.
Yeah, we'll provide
It's
it
just,
to you.
there's a lot of projects coming down the pike in the next 6 months. That's where the extensive financials are coming in. It'll make sense, trust me. Alright. Item 7 is our custodian program review. Mr. James.
I got kicked out, hang on, I got something.
You don't know off the top of your head how much is in the CK fund right now, do you?
It's 1.7 million.
Oh, 1%.
Yeah, here, let me pull up the hardware thing. from
That's
last
okay,
time.
I wanna write the notes myself.
Okay, I have it right here, it's, where is it, hardware?
It's all good. It's fine, don't worry about it.
Okay, I have it though, right here. Let's see. I had it here. Oh, yeah. Current balance, oh, it says 2.716, sorry.
I think that's what.
But you just spent, what, almost 900, right?
Yeah.
On the door.
Yeah, we're taking
It's about
821
1,000,
out.
okay.
Alright. So my last item for tonight is, we have been working with DM Burr, they've been our custodial partner for quite a while. We're actually on amendment number 4 on their original contract. Their original contract date is July 1st of 2018, and they've been doing 1-year extensions. Recently, they've changed out their management, so we have Ella and Shauna now running the district. They are much better communicators. I think, you know, nothing's perfect, but we're making strides in the right direction, and we feel like the cleaning has been improving, but definitely the communication has been improving. And those two are working really, really hard. They're trying to you know, they got promoted into those positions and they're trying their best to make this district shine. We would like to look at doing a 3-year contract extension for them. One of the things, just to remind you, is that we do have a 6-month termination clause for any reason. So even if we do extend it for 3 years, for any reason, we can terminate within 6 months. We can do it quicker if there's cause. So if we want to run through these numbers really quick, right now our annual total is this 1.905 million.
Can you zoom over a little, James?
What's that?
Zoom it.
Let me see. I have a Mac. It doesn't play
It's
as
right
nice.
there, yeah,
Here,
go
I'll
to
do this.
200.
Or more.
You want more?
Yeah.
I'm blind and deaf, so I will gladly go larger. Okay, so I'm just gonna concentrate on the annual. You have the monthly of the annual, but let's just look at the annual. So right now, our annual cost is 1.9 million, but we also have the pass-through of the healthcare, that's written into the contract. So their employees that take healthcare, we pay that separately, and that was in the original contract. We also have a staffing incentive that's paid out at $102.40 per FTE for every 2-week period. So if an employee has perfect attendance over those 2 weeks, they get $1 per hour extra. I mean, that's the way it works out, and then the company gets a little bump on that. And so that's the way the contract's issued. So just keep that in mind, the 1.9 is not inclusive of those 2 things. So if we look at our strategic visioning, we're going down to 4 elementary schools. So we looked at the staffing. One thing that has been a constant complaint since the number started is cleaning at the high school. So what our plan is to move 1 FTE more over to the high school. And now keep in mind, each custodian is cleaning about 30,000 square feet, so that will really help out the high school. But then we're also going to reduce 2 FTEs from the elementary program. So that gives us a reduction of $92,000, as you can see here. Now, the 2 managers are really severely underpaid right now. This bump would be split between the 2 of them, which would bring them up to their current scale, and then they would just get and I'll talk about the increases in a minute, but that would make them right with what everybody else in the industry is being paid right now. And then, as you remember, DM Burr's been eating the $1 an hour pay raise for quite a few years now. And we negotiated with them last year and they agreed to keep it for this year. This year, they want some of that back. They asked for all of it, and we said no. And we agreed to half, so we agreed to split that with them. So they're still gonna eat the 50 cents an hour. So this good faith reduced by half is a $15,000 increase. As you can see up here, it was $31,272. So if we look at that, the first year we would go from 1.9 million. Now keep in mind, we're adding 1 to the high school, removing 2 from elementary. Our new total would be 1.843 million. Then if we look at the next 2 years for year 2 and year 3, they're gonna ask for a wage increase, which would be a 25 cent per hour wage increase for the custodian on year 2, and then it'll be another 25 cents per hour on year 3. And then whatever that percent increase is, the managers will get that, but that's all rolled into their total cost. So if we look at this, right now we're paying 1.9 million. At the end of year 1, we'd be paying 1.843. Then that would go to 1.870 with the staff increases, and then our third year would be 1.897 million, which is still cheaper than what we're paying now, 3 years out. So we feel pretty comfortable in those numbers, and it would allow us then to budget for the next 3 years and carry that over, and then we would continue to work on them with improving the overall cleaning of the
custodians getting per hour now?
Pardon?
What are the custodians?
So custodian, it varies depending on their shift, but most of them are at $16 an hour, but then they have the $1 incentive. So if they're perfect attendance, they get $17 an hour. The day shift custodians are at, one of them's at $17, one's at $16.50. So it kind of varies depending on the skill level. Like the middle school day lead and the high school day lead. The high school day lead's at 18, and then they have a high school supervisor that gets paid 19. So they have a supervisor just for the high school. So it really depends on how much
I was just
responsibility.
wondering that 25 cents an hour, what kind of percent it is?
Pardon? Oh, yeah.
Staffing has always been a problem.
Mhm.
Where are you at? What's going on with staffing?
We've actually made some improvements right now, and right now we're down about 5 custodians as of my last report, but they have 4 full-time floaters, and so they're covering some of it with overtime and whatnot, that last position, but we're doing pretty well. We have been.
I guess my question then is, do we really want to, because there's always need. And, you know, do we wanna see if we could, instead of like decreasing by 2, just decrease by 1? Just to, again, more bodies, move them around and employ more, or, you know, is it still a pay problem? Because we've had to give pay bumps periodically in the middle of these contracts as well to make sure we attract and retain. These are not highly paid people.
No.
And retention has been just a chronic problem. And, you know, I guess I'm not looking so much, I would be happy to keep a flat contract if it put more money into the workers' pockets and it kept them. That's, I guess, where my head is coming from, and you know, keeping them happy and keeping them coming. So but that's my philosophy.
Jamie, you're so agreeable, but can't afford to do that. Go ahead.
Just going back, year 1, how many buildings does that include?
It's all of our current open buildings.
All of our current open buildings. And by year 3.
So we're closing Chico at the beginning of next year, so we can start construction.
So how many people does that translate?
So we're dropping 2 elementary custodians, because Chico will be closing, those students will be
So we
moving
only
to
have
Athens.
2 custodians, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with that. We have more than 2 custodians in that building, obviously then they move around.
We have 3, so one of them would move to the high school to permanently
That's
help.
what you said,
Yeah,
okay.
and then 2.
Okay, so we're losing 2 FTEs that first year. So, okay, that's where the discount reduction comes from.
And that's carried through all 3 years.
Right, and then there's increases every year in different line items.
Correct, so the first year increases for the 2 managers, and then year 2 would be all staff, and then year 3 would be all staff.
Okay. And, but we can't afford to keep.
Well, I mean, we're operating at a deficit, and so if we're closing the building,
We gotta take advantage of the loss of
we can't,
FTEs. All right.
we can't
Do you think
balance
we
the
need that,
budget.
those headcount? Or
Pardon?
would it be more pertinent for the salary?
And that's what I'm looking at, just to keep the contract flat and figure out what works best.
To keep do you think we're in a good place with them? Cause I know previously we weren't. Are
No.
we in a good place with them right now? As
Yeah,
far
in
as
fact,
salary?
you know, Ted and I were just talking today, and he said he's really extremely happy with how things are going. It's never perfect.
It's not broken
It's-
really like it was?
It's not broken, no, the 2 new managers are really making strides to improve communication. Like as an example, before spring break, they sent a list and said, this is all the deep cleaning and all the different tasks we're doing at every single building. And they sent that out to the principals and said, now what else would you like to add to this list? And then today they said, hey, we got just about everything done, we're gonna send out a briefing of what got done over spring break so that everybody can see it. So that had never happened before. They would go into spring break and say, hey, it's time to hang out and chill out, we've got, new students here. So I think they're really pushing to make it.
But yeah, in year 2, if we find that there is an issue, we can readdress it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, like we said, we have a 6-month out at any time, we
Right,
can.
well, I was thinking the other way.
Oh, yeah.
Like you need more.
Oh, we need more, yes, we can always add more.
They're working on budgeting, so that's like administrative's role, not us. So.
Yeah, just at a certain point, we're gonna have to bring the board, in line with board policy, we have to work towards coming off of all of the COVID funding that is now disappearing. I mean, we received probably $6-7 million in ESSER money, COVID money that, next year we won't be able to rely on. So unless, that's where I say lobby your legislature to, fund schools in a way that, align with the school research collaborative, the finance collaborative, because it's certainly not there, so.
Just so I'm clear, so DM Bard is our contractor.
Correct.
So you mentioned healthcare, we're picking up healthcare for their employees?
It's in the contract, the ones that can take it, not all of them take it.
That's that's a huge amount. I mean, so I guess I'm not understanding why we're paying for their healthcare. Healthcare is a huge amount in any contract or budget or anything, so if we talk about, again, reducing costs, I mean, there could be some kind of co-share or something to get that healthcare cost down. Not to mention if someone in that population gets really sick, that means our costs are gonna go sky high because we're taking care of their healthcare. So that would be just a savings for us alone if we can negotiate healthcare, that's a big one.
Well, no,
So I guess
let
I'm
me
not,
explain those. So usually what I assume when the board approved this, which was probably 3 years back, 2 years back, my guess is usually they just include it in the contract because of the Affordable Care Act. We legally have to provide them with healthcare if they work over 30 hours a week, which a lot of them are full-time employees. So usually you have two options when you go into a contract with a third-party vendor. Either they just assume a number, which they assume a really high number, so they're gonna say 80% of our staff take healthcare, and they're gonna include that cost in the contract. Or they say, you just pay for what people use. If not, if say 80%, we're paying the 80%, and 60% take the healthcare, because you gotta understand, these are really high deductible, high costed plans to those employees. So if 60% of the staff take it, we're still paying for the 80%. So what I assumed the district did was saying, no, we'll pay for the ones who actually take the healthcare.
That was part of our, you were part of it.
Yeah,
That's part of our negotiation.
That's what you guys
made
approved.
well, glad I'm still here so I can relook at it.
Oh, no, it's the cheaper way,
Thank you,
Deborah.
Julie. I'll make sure I have better eyes on it this
It's
time.
the cheaper way.
So there's a definitely cheaper way, because again, if we're.
No,
if
that's
we
the
have-
cheaper, that is the cheaper
This
way.
is the cheaper way.
Yeah, that is the
why we
cheaper way.
voted for it.
That's
This
why
is
it
the
was
cheaper
studied.
way.
No, I'm just saying that, again, in looking at, when we do the contract, there is even a cheaper way, we can, to look at the healthcare costs that is in this bucket of individuals. So I'm just saying, I think that's worth, thank you, Julie, I think that's worth a revisit, because again, if we're trying to drive costs out, and we know we have to, you mentioned that, I think that there's again a way, because Lee and Burke can also offer healthcare to their own employees, and we not carry that as well.
And that's not typically how it's done with third parties. So even if we have EDGE staff, they're gonna give you a cost of what it is for the employee and then their markup so they can make money. They're not gonna cover, it's like saying, we'll just
It's a
cover part of their
negotiation point.
salary. I mean, just kind of the way it works.
I guess the point, there's a couple points. First, they're not getting our Mesa Blue Cross that our teachers are getting.
No.
They're getting like what you would get on the open market, the Obamacare, you know, yeah, whatever it might be, it's not the same thing, and we're subsidizing the cost of that as part of our contract. We're not providing health insurance, we're facilitating them to get it.
We're giving them a dollar amount.
I understand, I understand.
But we can negotiate that dollar amount if we wanna pull down.
But my other point is
happens all
this,
the time.
we're not gonna fix our financial problems by taking it out on $16 an hour employees. To me, that is unconscionable, that we would take it out on them. Especially when
It's
we.
not taking it
Wait,
out.
let me finish.
It's not.
But we're not gonna, we need to be very cognizant of the fact that we have been chronically underfunded, and understaffed. You know, we've had to go in and give different raises again, just to recruit and retain. I don't think that we've ever been fully staffed. And it's not just DM Burr's fault, it's the nature of the beast.
It's also the
Well, it's, yeah.
the job.
It's the job.
Yeah.
These people can go and make more money at McDonald's, for God's sake. And so if it takes us to, you know, subsidize their health insurance, then to me, that's money well spent. That is my feeling, and again, I don't wanna cut corners on our lowest, at the bottom, you know, our lowest paid employees. I think that would be sinful.
We're not cutting corners, it's just going, the main reason for the decrease is going from the three employees at Roosevelt to one. Our hourly rate is higher than most districts around us, that are at about $15.50. So we do pay a fair wage. The problem is the turnover ratio is really high in this profession, as you said.
It is.
Okay, it's very high. But districts that are only down 5 FTE in a bill, that's pretty good. We're down,
We did use.
some districts are down 10 teachers in a particular building. So I agree with you, we're not cutting the pay, we're not saying take it down to 14. We're saying giving the normal increases with the understanding that we have teacher contracts, we have things that we have to settle this year as well, and we have to look at it holistically, not just one. 60,000 might not sound like a lot, but you save $60,000 per building, you're talking $500,000. So we have to look at it holistically. But I agree with you, I don't wanna cut anything for sure, in terms of pay or benefits, to those
Because
employees.
we're not gonna solve
They're
our
still getting
staffing
their normal
problem.
annual increase, they're not cutting back.
And that's why, to me, like I said, if we maintain even a flat contract, if you lose 2 people, just let's take care of these people so we can keep them happy and keep our staff happy, because they're, these people will show up and they won't worry who's gonna clean today.
I like the incentive
Alright,
that
just
seems to be
wait, Nick's been
working.
waiting, let's go,
What I was
we
gonna say
gotta move on.
is, these are low wage earners, and we want to retain them. And I'm glad to hear we're paying them more than the other districts. We want these people, they're important, and I want them to have medical insurance. And I want this to be a low turnover place where we can count on them. I don't have a problem with that at all.
First off, I agree with whatever you're gonna say, but my question was about the contract. So, if I understood correctly, we were at the end of our contract, we did 3 one-year extensions?
The last amendment, number 4, that we signed last year gave us a 1 year plus the ability to extend it 1 year. So our attorney is gonna rewrite it and clean it up a little bit, because he said, we're on the 4th amendment, you really should kind of start from scratch.
Okay, so how many years have we been with DMR without bidding out custodial services?
The original contract was 2018.
We did bid it out once more, we did.
We had a
I'm trying to
previous
remember
company
what year.
before that, it didn't go
What year
so
was
well,
it?
and then
What year did we rebid it?
and we rebid it before we did the 2018, and that's when we got to Denver.
Alright, so 2018 was the last time it was bid out. So that's, in my experience, at another public sector, that's an extremely long time to go without bidding out a contract for professional services, okay? So that is a concern, I just wanted to voice that concern, and I'll just leave it there.
I don't disagree, but again, I don't wanna rock the boat, it doesn't need to be rocked either. Be careful with that. This is a real record.
I mean, I know.
Julie, I was not here in 2018.
Yeah, no, that was the bid agreement, that was
Oh.
what we bid out, and we're talking about the
But
contract.
we added on to it every time,
Oh.
we've extended it.
I worked at Lake Orion 8 years ago, and they had DMR, they still have it today under the same contract. So I mean, there are districts that are using them long term. There's no perfect answer in the world of outsourced custodial, because I've worked with a lot of different
We
companies.
have a lot of problems with custodial and accounting, but we also have mandatory, the longest you could go is 5 years, and then you had to bid out the contract.
I think it's like that with food service.
It is food service, that's why we're bidding it out this month.
You can still contract with the same vendor if competitively they beat the other vendors.
Right.
So, but that's all I'm gonna say.
Alright, so I just needed to ask a question, then we're gonna move on, because I don't know. When they hire in people, do they start at the higher rate, or are there people at different rates? Like, is
There's
it
people at
steps?
different rates.
Okay, so there's steps. Okay, that's all. I
It
need.
depends on the position,
Alright,
really.
that's all I need.
So what's the highest rate?
So the highest rate, now this is just the base rate, but they have the option for the extra dollar and everything, is the $19 an hour is the high school supervisor, the zone 1 supervisor. The high school day lead is 18, and then the high school day custodians are 16 an hour, plus the $1 an hour incentive. And it goes, most of them are at 16.50.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yep.
Curious, do anybody know what the current poverty rate is, the level, what's the amount for a family? What is the current, the basic poverty level? I'm curious if anybody knows, because that's what you're talking about with these people, is they're really close to that line, I believe.
I don't know with inflation so high, because we.
And that's why, again, that's why I feel the way I do, is we gotta be very mindful and take care of
can't put the P for.
Okay, agenda item number 8 is our school choice second window for 24-25 review. Mr. Scott Long, Assistant School Learning Services, will address the board.
It's a little tight over here. Good evening, thanks for having me. Just plug in here real quick.
Scott, you're always welcome.
I appreciate it.
She's just speaking for herself.
I feel partially welcome. All right, so the topic here is the potential recommendation of the second window for schools of choice, specifically for high school. You know, back in December, the board approved 105 K-5 students, criteria-based STEAM, which had a shift from what we had done in the past. 20 students in 6th grade, West Bloomfield Middle School, criteria-based STEAM, and then 90 for 9th and 10th grade at West Bloomfield High School, also criteria-based STEAM. So all 3 levels of our schools of choice is criteria-based. I wanted to point out this is a 35 less students than what the board approved last year in our first school of choice window. It's really important for us, given that, and as we continue to right-size school of choice, that we capture all of these students that you've approved previously. So given that, I wanted to give you an update on where we're at with the enrollment. Things are looking really good. At the K-5 level, 70 students at the kindergarten level have either finished the enrollment process or are in process of finishing it. And then 1st through 5th grade, 25 students have either finished the process of enrolling or are almost done enrolling. At the middle school level, 6th grade students, 18 of the 20 slots, students have enrolled and are all set. So really at those 2 levels right there, we're in really good shape. I'm confident that that 95 will be 105 by either week's end or the following week, because we had lots of students that were just finishing up getting their enrollment in. And at the high school level, you'll notice that we have 37 9th grade students that have begun the enrollment process and 15 10th grade. So you're looking at about 52 there. So we're over the halfway mark for those 90 students that were board approved for the high school level. Given that, we want to look at opening a second window for our high school of choice to make sure that we meet that 90 slots. I want to share some data from last year. When we had a second window, we had 33 students apply. 30 of those students met criteria and 17 of them enrolled. We believe that if we have a second window for high school, we're going to get the right applicants, we'll be able to fill those slots. And so we'd like to recommend at the next board meeting the approval of schools of choice, similar to what we did last year. If you remember last year, our first window, we had 9th through 12th graders that could apply. And then in the second window, we had 9th and 10th grade only. So this kind of matches suit to what we had done last year. For May 20th to June 7th for West Bloomfield High School STEAM, not to exceed the 90 students that were originally approved. Do it for 9th and 10th grade students only in criteria-based STEAM.
Questions?
We aren't gonna lower our criteria in order to fill, right?
Correct. The criteria always stays the same.
Thank you. You asked the question I had.
Is it, I think last year we did rolling. Was it rolling or was there a block and then, I'm trying
Last
to
year's
remember.
second window,
Yeah, was it rolling?
there was a beginning and end for application, and then we tested, there wasn't,
There was, so
I
was
think
it?
it went later. I think it went into
It was
July,
like in
didn't
the
it?
summer, yeah.
That's what I thought, it went like into July or
I'm
something.
trying to remember. I thought, all right, so what's the window, what are you projecting?
let's back it up.
June.
May 20th to June
Oh,
7th.
thank you, I guess I didn't catch that.
Well, I like that window because then you'll have a better idea before June 30th
Correct.
of where you stand, because I assume you're gonna be like jumping on testing pretty quick,
Yeah.
Cause that's the last day of school.
so you'll be able to
And
process.
these windows pretty much match what we did last year for the second window as well.
Okay.
For us,
So I don't know what I'm thinking.
it's pretty quick. I think it was 2 years ago where we did a
maybe that's-
rolling enrollment.
Maybe.
What we find is if we can get them applied early, get them tested early, that helps us for scheduling purposes too, right? To get that master schedule, get the rollover, so.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, thank you. Number 9 is good for the order. Does anyone have anything? Mamma Mia, I just wanna remind everybody I sent emails.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Oh, we're all gonna be singing Alice.
Yeah,
Songs for
so,
a month. They'll be stuck in our heads.
Yes, don't miss out on Mamma Mia. That's what is at high school. Hey, Liz, do you have any of those cards?
I do.
Will you bring on just in case anyone from, okay, so agenda item number 10 is a closed session to discuss a legal opinion. Can I have a motion? That work? You ready?
One motion. I move that we, go into closed session for the purpose of
Legal opinion.
legal.
Do we have a second? Motion to go into closed session to discuss a legal opinion on section 8H of our meeting text. It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? I'll do a roll call. Hirsch? Finkelstein?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Davis? Levy?
Yes.
Strickland is yes. Motion passes 7-0. It is 8.
7:45.
7:45.